Thanks for tuning into this episode of With Just 15 Defeats. I'm Teekosey, and today we are reviewing and predicting the outcome of the welterweight showdown between Andre Berto and Shawn Porter. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you're already a subscriber, thank you for your continued support. If you have any questions on this fight or my assessment, I would be pleased to hear from you in the comment section below. I hope you enjoy this preview. Now, this fight is taking place on the 22nd of April, just a few short weeks, and this is a fight that I am actually really looking forward to. It involves two real quality fighters who I'm sure will put on a real decent show for us. And this fight I think it's a fairly important fight and a notable fight, and the reason why I've decided to preview it on my channel, because it's a welterweight fight, okay, which, as we know, is one of the glamour divisions about. And today, it's a talent-rich division. We just think about some of the names that are involved in the welterweight division at the moment. We've got the likes of Manny Pacquiao. What is he going to do? We've got Keith Thurman, one of the champions, Danny Garcia. We've got Amir Khan. He was potentially going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao. We've got Timothy Bradley. We've got Kell, Brook, Peterson, Spence, Vargas, Browne. There's a long list of real decent, credible fighters in this division, and the depth is pretty decent. Now, this fight is not a title fight. Neither hold the belt, but both have previously been champions. But I believe this is to become a mandatory for one of Keith Thurman's titles. So because of that, this fight does hold some real importance. Now, Andre Berto, he has a record of 31 victories with 4 defeats, with 24 of his victories coming by way of stoppage. And he is a multiple-time world champion at welterweight. He won his first world title about 9 years ago and went on to successfully defend it around about 5 times before dropping the belt in a unanimous decision loss to Victor Ortiz. Since then, he's been in a number of fairly high-profile fights. As I say, his high-profile fights really, despite the fact that he was a world champion, his high-profile fights really, for me, started with Victor Ortiz, which he lost. He fought Zavekic and Guerrero, Carras. He also lost to Floyd Mayweather Jr., which is going to be, I think, one of the things that he will be remembered for if that continues to be Floyd Mayweather's last fight. And on the other side of the ring, we're going to have Shawn Porter, who has a record of 26-2 with 16 of his victories coming by way of stoppage. Now, as I say, he's only got 2 defeats, but he won his world title back in 2013 with a unanimous decision victory over Devon Alexander. He went on to defend that against Pulev before dropping it to Kell, Brook. Now, he's also been defeated more recently by Keith Thurman, who is the current holder of 2 of the welterweight championships. So that is somewhat interesting because, as I previously mentioned, the winner of this fight will most likely go ahead to become the mandatory challenger to Keith Thurman's championship. Now, whether or not he will take that, or whether that fight will come to anything this year, we have to find out, because obviously we have the Kell, Brook, Errol Spence fight, and possibly the winner of that may end up challenging Keith Thurman, particularly if it is Kell, Brook, because I feel that if Kell, Brook wins that fight, he will remain at welterweight. If he loses, I can't see Kell Brook staying at welterweight. I think he's going to struggle. So if he wins, I think he would like to take on Keith Thurman in a big kind of super fight. So the actual fight itself, and why it's somewhat interesting to me, is that both of these fighters, Berto and Porter, they're open. They're defensively wanting a lot of the times, and they take shots throughout their careers. They have taken shots, and what's good for these two fighters is that both of them have shown credible chins. Yes, Berto has been stopped, but throughout his career he is shown to have a credible chin. Now both of these guys will take a shot. We've seen Shawn Porter take a lot of shots. We've seen him look like he's hurt, but he's gone on to continue in the fight. So I can see both of these guys being able to land big shots. And because of that, there will be a lot of people who will favour Andre Berto in this fight because he does pack a lot of power. His shots are very compact, accurate, and he has knocked out he's knocked out a lot of people in fairly devastating fashion. Additionally, they both tend to struggle against opponents who have good movement or higher IQ in the way that they move. And the blueprint to probably beat both of these fighters is to have a game plan that involves a lot of movement, staying out of range, scoring points, and frustrating the opposition. Now, for me, I don't think either will adopt this strategy. I think both of them will want to stay in close. For me, Berto, as the years have gone on, he's lost the spring in his step and the bounce in his movement, which really allowed him to move in and out and really kind of put some devastating combinations together, and has become more of a static power puncher. Whereas Shawn Porter, we know, high work rate, likes to get in the face, likes to rough him up, throwing power punches, but he needs to get in close to do that. He's not going to box on the outside. However, he does like to move about. It may not be particularly clever, but it can be very effective. Now, the third similarity that the two have is that in big time fights, the fights that matter, they tend to go the distance. We know that Berto's first 3 WBC defences went the distance. He then had a distance defeat to Victor Ortiz. Guerrero went the distance. And obviously Floyd Mayweather Jr. went the full distance, where he was completely outclassed. Whereas Shawn Porter, we know, has never been stopped. We know he's never been stopped. So in his 2 defeats, both world title fights, Keith Thurman, Kell Brook, they went the distance. He also went the distance in beating Browne and Alexander in 2 other high-profile fights. Now, in terms of my prediction for this fight, I'm edging towards Shawn Porter to be victorious in this fight. I think he's probably got more juice left in the tank. I think he's tough as hell. He's got a granite chin, and his work rate is incredibly high. And I think this fight will go the distance, like many of Shawn Porter's fights before, with Shawn Porter winning by a handful of rounds. But having said that, it wouldn't surprise me if somehow Berto could pull off a one-punch knockout. But my prediction is going the distance, Shawn Porter to be victorious. And then it'll be interesting to see whether he does get the rematch with Keith Thurman, and whether he can do that little bit extra that he wasn't able to achieve in the first fight to bring the titles back to himself. Now, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions on this fight or my assessment, I would be pleased to hear from you in the comments section below. Remember, if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you very much for your continued support. I really appreciate it. And let's look forward to this fight. It's going to be a good fight, and hopefully you enjoy it. I've been Teekosey. See you later.